A black SUV eased up to the curb outside the Daniel Patrick Moynihan courthouse, its engine still rumbling when the rear door cracked open. For a split second, nobody moved. Then, Wiz Khalifa stepped onto the sidewalk wearing a midnight black suit that swallowed every trace of his usual neon swagger. No entourage, no cloud of smoke, no camera-ready grin, just that calm stare artists save for lyrics they never release. Reporters didn't get a shot. Marshals swept him through the side entrance, phones already locked away. Inside, the gallery sensed the air thicken. Whatever this was, it wasn't about chart positions. He walked straight to the witness stand. No raising a hand yet, no smile, no small talk, just a slow pivot toward the defense table where Sean Diddy Combs sat flanked by attorneys. Wiz's voice didn't crack. "You know exactly why I'm here." A juror leaned forward, another scribbled so fast the pen squeaked. The judge nodded to the clerk, and the oath echoed like it weighed a ton. Outside those walls, the trial had already become the industry's nightmare headline. A rap titan charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and obstruction, a case fed by March 2024 raids on his Star Island and Holmby Hills homes, where agents seized hard drives, pills, and 2 illegal handguns. In the 2 weeks prior, jurors had heard from Cassie Ventura, Kid Cudi, Don Richard, and an ex-assistant called Mia, each layering new bricks of accusation, threats, hush payments, and tapes allegedly weaponized to keep people obedient. But no one predicted Wiz Khalifa would be the next domino. The prosecutor's first question sliced the quiet. "Mr. Thomas, when did you first feel something was off?" "Summer of 2015, Wiz answered. His tone stayed low, but the date seemed to tug the courtroom back 10 years. He'd been burning hot off the Boys of Summer tour, features stacking, his phone a blur of emojis and cosigns. Then an unfamiliar number flashed. Diddy's voice filled the line, smooth, casual, promising just a weekend, just vibes at a Hidden Hills estate. No managers CC'd, no riders, just directions and a gate code. He rolled up late that Friday. The wrought iron gate slid open so slowly, he counted his own heartbeats. No bass thumped from inside, no laughter spiraled into the night, only spotlighted hedges trimmed too perfectly. And the silence felt purchased. A man in a black polo greeted him, not with drinks but with a tray lined in velvet. On it, neat square compartments, one sticky note, no distractions, just presence. Every guest dropped a phone as if that were a normal price of admission. "House policy," someone whispered like it was poetry instead of control. Wiz shrugged, but a tiny seed of dread rooted itself. He scanned the foyer, expensive art, spotless marble, guests arranged almost like showroom mannequins. No rap leaking from Bluetooth speakers, only soft lounge chords dissolving into the walls. He told himself the party was starting slow. Stars liked late arrivals, yet every conversation he drifted toward hushed at his approach. Nobody looked truly relaxed. Musicians without rhythm felt wrong, like birds suddenly forgetting to sing. Hours blurred. At midnight a rumor floated, "They're calling people into the Red Room." Some grinned nervously, others pretended not to hear. Someone touched Wiz's shoulder and pointed down a narrow hall lit the color of a fading traffic signal. A cracked door leaked crimson glow and sweet smoke. Inside, the room seemed upholstered in dusk. Velvet drapes, a low wooden table, incense twisting to the ceiling. Strangers in whispers. One woman sat serene, a blindfold resting on her head as though waiting for a scene change. No talking, no phones, no directions, just a quiet line of ghosts cycling through some undefined ritual. On a shelf between 2 antique books, Wiz spotted a tiny black circle. Not decor, not art, a lens. Something primal told him to bolt. Memory fractures after that. He recalled inhaling something good for clarity, then waking at sunrise in a guest room with cotton mouth and a headache thick as fog. When he murmured, "What was that red room?" a staffer smiled cryptically. "You had a good time, right?" End of discussion. Wiz flew back to LA and let the whole weekend calcify under studio sessions and tour rehearsals. He chalked the unease to exhaustion, shrugged at unanswered questions. Silenced intuition is an easy habit when your calendar is packed and your name won't stop trending. 7 years later, October 2022, his phone rang again. Private number. A voice he didn't recognize, skipped greetings. "Wiz, you're on one of the tapes." If the caller anticipated denial, he misread the pause. Wiz wasn't shocked, he was sinking. The voice continued. They showed mine, yours keeps them powerful. Line went dead. Within weeks, odd obstacles surfaced. A lucrative vape brand campaign evaporated post-signing. Internal restructuring was the email lie. A high-profile feature vanished from the final mix without warning. A festival producer ghosted after 3 consecutive years of booking him. No open threats, just a chill wind of caution whispered into business deals. Not worth the drama. Wiz recognized the pattern, punishment by subtraction. Industry friends became silhouettes. One confided off record, "They're watching reactions, not confessions." The meaning cut deeper than any headline. You don't have to shout to kill momentum, you just tighten the faucet until thirst feels like failure. Early 2023, a 22-year-old prodigy burst onto TikTok with hunger that reminded Wiz of his Kush and OJ days. Raw bars, crooked smile, fearless energy. They linked briefly at a mixer. The kid beamed, "I'm hitting Hidden Hills next weekend. Maybe catch you there." Wiz's stomach dipped like an elevator. Out came a warning disguised as wisdom, "Watch your back in there." The kid laughed, thinking it was a playful flex. A week later, the prodigy's socials went dark. Management claimed a mental health hiatus. Industry chatter suggested he returned from that same mansion. Changed, phone off, eyes hollow, career momentum stalled. Someone DM'd Wiz from a burner account, same room, same setup, same outcome. That was the night Wiz admitted his silence was complicity. So he accepted the subpoena. On May 29, 2025, when federal prosecutors called his name, he didn't stall. Under oath, he mapped the hallway, the brass handle, the hidden camera, the incense curling like question marks. He described guests filing in one by one, while staff closed the door behind them. Some laughed coming up, some looked ready to cry. He said, "It wasn't about pleasure, it was leverage." Defense counsel objected. Speculation, the judge allowed it. Lived experience counts. Diddy's jaw flexed, but he kept still. Wiz spoke anyway. "You built an empire on obedience, Mr. Combs. Silence was your currency." The room stayed frozen. Reporters scribbled. Court sketch artists captured a mogul's shoulders tightening. Wiz concluded, "You don't have my silence anymore." He stepped down, and in that simple motion, myth cracked. The courthouse doors swung open onto a media hurricane. Hashtags hatched within minutes. #Red Room tapes. #Hidden Hills files. #silence in control. A stylist who'd worked the freak-off weekends tweeted, "Funny how they called us paranoid." A veteran DJ posted a black screen, "I smelled the incense too." A reclusive pop star ghosted for 2 years popped onto stories. "I never forgot the Red Room." Skeptics had receipts. Believers had finally heard their echo. PR teams fired denial statements before breakfast. Lawyers for Combs argued the testimony was story time distracting from consensual adult conduct. But the culture had shifted half a click. People questioned consensus the way one questions a mirage. Prosecutors reminded jurors of seized hard drives, unlabeled DVD stacks, and an agent's testimony about guns and ecstasy tablets recovered from the Miami raid. None of it proved Wiz's tape existed, yet the possibility felt enough. Fear is sticky. Deals faltered. Brand strategists whispered about contagion risk. Some collaborators re-evaluated decades-old NDAs. The silence that once cocooned power had taken its first public tear. Wiz returned to his studio, headphones on, phone flipped screen down, his son doodling superheroes beside the console. A journalist asked if he regretted testifying. He laughed softly. "Diddy told me once, people forget what they say but never what they see. I finally saw what really happened. That's heavier than any beat." The story could end there, but endings are complicated when cameras keep rolling. The jury will decide guilt or innocence based on law, not vibes. Yet something fundamental already shifted. Artists fresh off live stream fame now ask about safe rooms instead of green rooms. A-list parties scramble to ban secret recording devices, not because they care about privacy, but because the illusion of safety evaporated. If one camera in one red-washed chamber could bend the trajectory of a platinum rapper, what happens to singers still chasing their first 100 streams? The industry sells dreams in bulk, but fine print can hide a cage. Wiz Khalifa walked into court and translated dread into daylight. Whether that conviction sticks to Combs or iron bars ever close, the silence is broken. Somewhere a newcomer scrolling through contracts will pause, remember the word leverage, and think twice before handing over a phone at a velvet-lined tray. And maybe that's the point. Not revenge, not viral clout. Just a crack in the wall wide enough to let younger voices decide whether they're entering a studio or a stage set for someone else's control. Because power hates daylight, but daylight always shows up right on time.